Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with another PWCC weekly review, where I'll be going through the PWCC Top 100 soccer card auctions for the week, and we can sort of break down how those landed. Always fun to be able to talk about all these cards with you guys, maybe some purchases you even made, so would love to hear anything that you were able to grab that you're excited about down below in the comments, but with that, let's go ahead and get on into it. So it might make for a quicker week this week. One thing that you'll notice right off the bat, if you've been watching a lot of these, is that the prices at the low end are much lower than recent. Now, I think that's more of a circumstance of less better cards being auctioned, because a lot of these cards we don't really see pop up in these weeklies we've been doing. This is the first week, so we'll talk about some of them. The first one is this Johan Cruyff Voteball Vanderhoot that is, either 68, 69, or 69, 70, depending on how you look at it. It's basically the same card printed for 2 different years. PSA 2 goes for 150, so I want to check out how that is compared to recent auctions. Looked at a year-long time frame. Everyone kind of knows we're down from last year a good bit. It bounced back up from November at 175 to December at 370, which could just be sort of a circumstance of someone on eBay either having a fake sale or maybe just a real buy it now sale. I know it's hard to think that people use the buy it now feature during this time, but it might happen. But then right back down to 150. So I mean, that's sort of around where, at least personally, I've seen it is lower than this. Those higher sales seem to be a bit of an anomaly when you consider like SGC grades. I mean, there's certainly a lot more of these out and about. Next to that, we have an early George Best 1967 Star Players. It looks really good. Not sure about the price point, but I mean, honestly, in soccer, when you're buying cool stuff of great players for, what isn't an exorbitant amount of money, I don't think it's anything too crazy. Next to that, a Ronaldo 1995-96 sticker, the Super Calcio by Panini. Looks really good. And this is one that early on when I didn't know much about the Ronaldo, intricacies of his early stuff, I always thought that this was an amazing looking one. Still amazing looking, but it's not, the rookie that I thought it was at one point, or at least had hoped it was. Next to the Vanderhoot from over there, we have the 1970. I actually really like this one. I think that the photo's much better. Obviously it doesn't all come down to that, but just eye appeal wise, I think it looks much better. It says Pop 101. I won't say it many times this review because I say it all the time, but you never really know with that. So take it with a grain of salt, but looks really good. I mean, high grades of the Vanderhoot rookies have been coming out, so I wouldn't be surprised if more high grades of this end up coming out. It's just kind of the way things should work, you would think. Above that, nothing I want to comment too much on here. A couple base cards. We have it Holland, we have it Mbappe. I don't know. I mean, when you look at those two compared to these two, it's kind of funny. So that's like a rookie Cruyff, but it's a team photo. So would I rather have a team photo Cruyff rookie or a Erling Haaland base? I'd much rather get the Cruyff. I don't know much about Gento either, but I'd probably say the same thing over the Mbappe. So it is what it is. Looks really good, but not too certain on the early stuff for Gento either. Moving higher, this row again, in this weird $100 to $300 range, there is actually a lot of older stuff, which I think is nice. I wish, that's sort of my one complaint about the PWCC weekly auction. It's not about PWCC itself, but it's more so the soccer cards that get listed, especially the high end, are usually ultra modern, like numbered stuff. And that gets a bit boring to me just because it's not something I'm far too interested in, to be honest. Here you have a Heinerle De Stefano going for 180, which doesn't seem terrible in terms of if you're a buyer. 3.5, this set's, pretty coveted by, I would say, a lot of people at this point. Just amazing portrait pictures like this one are gonna get you a lot of clout, I would say, in the soccer hobby. The Pele, I feel like, is just a missing opportunity. If that Pele looked like this, I really feel like it would do insane numbers and probably bring a lot more hype to the set, but the Pele is an action shot, so it is what it is. Then an early Maradona at Napoli in a 4. Low grade, so with Italian stuff, typically there will be more, so I would just assume that, but I do like Napoli stuff for Maradona, at least especially early on there. In the next row, we have a 1963 Pele. I don't really think I've seen this, but it doesn't go for too high of a price, which would lead me to believe that, it's nothing too crazy. There's actually an asset description here that you can read through if you'd like. I guess they have that whenever it's an eye appeal PWCC certification. I think it looks really good. I mean, just the back and the front looks amazing. I think the picture looks good. I like the back and how it looks, but doesn't seem to be any sort of consistent theme in soccer collecting that I've seen those types of things from year to year. So it just seems like a one-off. Really looks cool though. Next to that, a Sapphire Erling Haaland. We'll see more of those later. Seems about right in line with what a Raw should do. A fairly common Cristiano Ronaldo Champions League sticker in a 10 doing 200. SP Authentic Ronaldo PSA 9 doing 200. So Manchester United, Ronaldo stuff, still doing pretty well. I know it's, you know, down a bit. In total, not too bad at all right there. Above that, I have a Berbatov here. Honestly, never seen him because, you know, as a kid in the US, you don't really have access to that. But just seeing this purchase, I was like, okay, you know, let me go give a peek. And that was a really fun watch, just an insane player. And sort of shows, you know, what happens if you aren't like a mega elite player for a long time. The market will sort of forget about you. PSA 10, decent price though, and probably going to a good collector home, which is always good. We got a Puskás 1954 going for 200. Next to that, a Topps Chrome Future Stars Mbappe. This is about the same price a lot of them have been going for. I gave it a peek beforehand just to see, and it's about right in line. And then a Sapphire Messi Yellow, which again, about right in line, dips a little, just like most Messi stuff has over the last year, but still holding up pretty well. 222 for out of 99 there from 2019. Above that, we have a 1974 Cruyff from his first World Cup. Really nice looking sticker there. Next to that, the Heinerle Puskás, which it sold for a little bit more than the Di Stefano. Di Stefano is 180. Heinerle Puskás goes for 222. Just a really iconic photo for Puskás right there. So nice looking. That blue background, just the kit, the smile, the hair. It's just, it's got everything going for it. Next to that, you know, we talk about like insane vintage beauty, and then up here you got Leaf slapping an Erling Haaland auto onto probably one of the worst looking cards you've ever seen. Goes for the same price, you know, Erling Haaland auto matches the card, I would say. The auto for Erling Haaland, I guess I've never commented on here yet, but just atrocious. I mean, it is ridiculous. I've heard people say they don't like the Mbappe one because it doesn't look good enough. I mean, I'll take that every day of the week over Haaland. It looks like a 4-year-old trying to figure out how to write his name. It's disgusting, to be honest. Hopefully he improves, but I guess at this point, if he hasn't learned, then, you know, will he? I don't know. Next to that, another Ronaldo from a fairly common set of PSA 10s. Never all that easy. It is a pop 1 of 11. You'd assume more. Above that, we have a Pepe from 2003. Just one of the stickers, you know, I don't see a lot of. When it comes to, like, 2000s and beyond, people don't really post anything outside of the big ones, but I always love looking at them. I think maybe they get some sort of excitement one day, but that is a good price right there, 240. Pop 1 of 3. It says non-graded higher. Again, you know, asterisk, but really cool. Next to that, we have an Iniesta PSA 9. That is a good dip, and I want to take a look at that. So we got that right here. Only 2 on the card ladder. Sales data history, 480 and 700. The 700 was before the super boom, and the 480 was just a few months ago. So we really don't even capture the highs that this could have been at if it sold. I'm imagining 8s were probably going for 500 to 1,000. That seems to be right in line with what I remember. And now you have a 9 going for 240. Whenever I look at, you know, Xavi, Iniesta, Monday Chromos, I know they're a little less common than Messi, but I always think to myself, like, would I rather buy a Messi, right? I mean, for this price, I can probably get a PSA 5, PSA 6, or just a raw Messi, and I feel like I'd much rather have the raw Messi. Now, to be fair, you know, PSA 9, not an easy grade, but at the same time, Iniesta does have other rookie options, so if you wanted to make the case for ultimate rarity, that would probably be where you go. Then there's a Luis Suarez Gold Select Auto. Always sort of have a bias for this set because Pulisic RPAs are in there, so I do like it. It is sticker, it is not match worn, so people are always going to downplay that, but, you know, it's not priced as if it is, so I would say that makes sense. Here, sort of what I was talking about there with the Messi, I know it's not the same set, but would I rather have a Messi rookie or a, you know, higher grade Iniesta? It's always sort of the internal strife that I have going on. Above that, the Maldini PSA, or I guess SGC 7, with a PWCC, all the acronyms going at it there. Top 15% goes for 252. I did want to take a peek at that, and that has been, I guess, went up a good bit. Now, part of that is the PWCC Eye Appeal sort of sticker going on there. Before this, though, 144, 128, so 188, up a good bit. Now, if we scroll back, you know, down a little bit too, but not massively down. I mean, 50% haircut from the highs of 2021. You know, when you look at most sports card things, not terrible. Especially a pretty speculative player, I would say, in terms of collectability. I've always sort of wanted to dip my toes into this set, but I know at the same time I don't have the love for Maldini or Baggio that I feel like a true collector should. I just think that the sets look really good, and I think that's sort of just an iconic duo going together in that same rookie year. Next to that, an Henry that I actually feel like is kind of low. I mean, I'm not much of a sticker auto buyer of just all the legends of the game, but, you know, 260 for a PSA 10. Typically, I assume that PSA 9s are a third of the price of 10s. That's usually what the market says, and if that's the case, this is like an $80, $90 PSA 9, which seems, you know, pretty affordable, pretty fun. more so as a collector, you know, as an investment. Do I know if that's great? I don't know. No one knows. But next to that, 2005 Monte Chromo 264 feels, I don't know, feels kind of high to me personally. You know, maybe I'm just an amazing sniper of good purchases. But I bought a BGS 7.5 Mega Crack second year Messi recently for like 100, 125, somewhere in there. And so, sure, it's BGS. I guess everyone hates BGS. But, you know, to be able to buy that for much less than the Monte Chromo, I think sort of shows that the Monte Chromo would be a little overpriced, I would think. But I've sort of always noticed that, like, the Monte Chromo has held a really high price. And maybe that's due to, in the peak of the market, it went crazy. So maybe that craziness still is subliminally there in the comps. But nice looking card, though, I will say. And I guess when the Monte Chromo first year doesn't have a ton of hype, I mean, what would an 8 do? I guess, well, we'll actually see later. It's not that much more than this, so I think that's important. PSA 9 David Beckham, Topps Merlin Gold. I did want it, well, I guess it's Merlin Gold, but Topps, you know, now associated with it. Want to take a peek at that. Went for 276 right there, and before that, you know, probably around the same prices as far as we can see. Now, if we do go very far back, it was much higher in early 2021. PSA 9's going for 900, so very high prices. But in this last sort of 6 to 8 months, it's been lingering around the same price, which is good. Throughout the rest of this row, nothing too crazy. Hugo Sanchez, rookie, also, you know, 78 World Cup, really, really cool one, at least from my perspective. I do think it's a really nice looking one. Here, a lesser preferred, Muller going for close to 300, very nice price there. Was surprised to see this, 2019 Ansu Fati, Topps Now, must be fairly low pop. Next to that, oh, I guess 2019 Topps Now. Gonna be low pop. You know, next to that we have 2018 Topps Chrome Variation Messi. Always love the variations. I think they add a little something there. Really cool photo too. Finishing out the row with a couple other Messis out of 299 and a PSA 10. And then we have a PSA 6 going for 310 right there for the blue, which seems to be the most preferred by the market. Above this, a row I almost want to skip entirely, but I'll give a brief mention. We do have a Tanti 2000 Euro, PSA 10. People love the PSA 10s. David Beckham, pretty low price, I guess, compared to the highs, but as you saw with the Topps Gold or Merlin Gold, it's the same thing. Down a good bit. And then a 1/1 Alex Tella is going for 324. I mean, looks like a really cool card. You know, Treble has its own sort of thing going on there too. Rookie has a lot of fun things in it, but the player's sort of the main problem, I would say. Then we have a 7 Campio going for only $10 more than the 6 Campio Blue, so that's interesting to note. Erling Haaland Leaf Auto, you know, just putting them all out there because the people need them. Next to that, Yaya Toure, PSA 8 out of 5 Flawless going for 350. Really cool one, at least in my opinion, and fun to see that price for a Man City legend. This Beckenbauer more than deserves the price it's at, I would say. 360 for that looks so good. It does have a little stain up there on the top, but those colors are to die for. And, you know, that picture, we'll talk about it more later, but I do love it. Then we have a Ronaldo field level out of 99 going for 370. I think it looks really nice. Personally, in the select range, I'm more of a tie-dye guy myself. I like all the colors. But I do think that this white is just amazing. The white on white kit looks pretty centered for my eye. That, you know, typically you have some centering problems with these selects, so that is not great to look at if that's the case. But a really good price there at 380. We have another Thomas Muller. I feel like I've seen a good bit of these, but that's going for 380, which again is a nice price. Then we have a Dennis Bergkamp PSA 7 going for close to 380 as well. Sort of a lesser talked about star, I would say. You know, if we were maybe 10, 15 years earlier in the hobby cycle, I feel like that would be a big name. So just looking back, this one was 370. The one before that was actually 274, so that's a pretty good boost there. Before that, we have a 5 going for 70. A 7 going for 560, so I guess if we do go back far enough, we do have some pretty high prices. A 9 going for 2,800. And I guess I would say it's down a good bit, but I don't think it had the same bump that other things had. I mean, just based off this PSA 5 price down here at the bottom, that was $400 in November 23 of 2020, which is kind of where we're back to in terms of the market. I would say the market's close to sort of where it was during the summer of 2020. You know, that would seem like it's dropped a good bit. Again, I don't think it had the run that other things did, but still down, and could be a good card if you're into Dennis Bergkamp. I think that it is a really cool one. I do believe I've seen an auto variant of it where it was released with an autograph on it too, so that could be a fun chase if you're into that. And then we have a Maradona Authentic Size Not Met for 370. Pretty fair price, seems to be the going rate for these, at least in the worst of worst condition, which, I mean, this actually has pretty decent eye appeal, I will say. But in terms of, you know, grading scale, it is as low as it gets. And then in this row, we have a couple different Messi rookies. We have an 8 Campio going for 384, and then an 8.5 that says Campio, but it's actually Campio going for 420. So for that small percent increase, I would definitely much rather have the green, higher grade technically. I know people look at BGS as lesser than PSA, but I think, an 8.5 BGS is probably an 8 PSA, especially when you consider that the greens are harder to grade. This is actually Campio, even though it says Campione. So probably upsetting if you're the person that, got that through BGS and then can't even get the right label. David Beckham upper deck going for 408. That's actually a pretty good price, I would say. I mean, these are fairly common, but in a 10, going to be much harder, of course. And then a Heung-min Son sticker going for 420 in a PSA 10. Love seeing, sort of modern stickers getting some love. Then above that, we have a Calcio Flash Maldini BGS 7.5. I think the Calcio Flashes are pretty cool just because they're more rare, but then you do have other versions as well. And so with Baggio, I think you have 4 in total. With Maldini, you have 3 different rookies. So not only do you have to know which rookie you want to go after, but you also have to know which slab, because BGS at the moment, not the best reputation, and this is great, is pretty recent. So just anything sticker related graded after 13 million cert range, in my opinion, it's not fake, but I would just be nervous, right? And that's sort of how the market approaches this type of stuff too. You can tell that these go for a lesser price. Next to that, a bunch of modern stuff. This one would probably be my favorite just because, on-card auto from Noir. Hard to beat in terms of what people like in modern, and Kevin De Bruyne, quite the name as well, of course, for Man City collectors. Doesn't seem too bad. I mean, I know the Yaya Toure from earlier is flawless out of 5, and this is Noir out of 10, but I mean, I feel like I'd much rather have the Kevin De Bruyne. To be fair, this also has him in the Belgian kit, so I guess if you're a Man City collector, probably not as appealing. Then beyond that, we have a Color Blast Obsidian Erling Haaland, along with a Finest Footballers Orange and Red Fusion Mbappe. Not as interested in the Mbappe, but I do want to give a peek at the Erling Haaland. So here we can see sort of the prices. Sold for near 500. Before this is actually 400, and has held up actually really well. I mean, when you go back to the summer of last year, Raws were going for about 400 to 500, which is about what a 9 goes for. So I was interested in seeing that. I didn't really think that would be the case, In my head, I feel that Color Blast and these modern inserts really aren't something I would want to chase, just because it's sort of an endless chase that can always be printed more. So, that's something I like to avoid. But in terms of price, doing really well, which is cool. So, love to see it. Above that, we have the Wayne Rooney PSA 10. This is the greenback. It says Pop 101. This is actually one I looked up. It is Pop 3 or 4. Pop 4. All right, had to check the Excel doc again, but we got there. Checked the price for this, and basically, it had sold one time prior for 720, just a few months ago, and now sold for 500. So it took a bit of a hit, but when you sell something, this isn't the same one that's selling either, but when something is sold twice that's that low pop within a small amount of time, typically it's gonna dip a little. The first time there's probably 2 buyers going after it at a good price. Now there's, one less buyer at that good price. So it's gonna fall if there isn't that demand in that short time frame. But it's only Pop 4, and it doesn't seem to be growing all too quickly either. Rest of this row, really nothing that crazy. I do think this Pele looks pretty cool, just in terms of the design. I like the crown, I like the king features, all that jazz. Some people like cartoons, some people don't. It also sort of depends on the type of cartoon that you have, because some of them can be a bit more egregious than others. It's all sort of this weird world of collecting that you can get into if you'd like, but I think that looks really cool. Next to that, a Messi PSA 10, so I guess it's PSA 10, but it is 2010, so it's nothing all too early, but high grade, people are going to fawn for it. 1995 Raven Beckham. This has basically been dismissed as an early Beckham. As you can tell, this is an early cert number for PSA in the 21 million range, and now they, I don't know if they grade it as like a 2000s card or they don't grade it at all. It can be very deceiving, especially it says out of 500. I mean, that's brutal. If you truly do think that's a David Beckham rookie out of 500, you probably go into that with a bit more enthusiasm than you should. Above that, there's a Fulbito Maradona 1981, so early Maradona, authentic, size not met, going for, a little over 500, so a very nice price for that. I think there's another one, the upcoming auction next week, so we'll see how that continues, but really cool looking sticker there. The back actually looks pretty clean on it, so maybe that plays a role in why it did so well. Then we have a Monday Chromo Messi. See, that's what I was talking about with the second year. So the second year goes for like 250, right? And the first year is going for 550. I mean, I don't know many instances where a base card of a rookie basically sells for double the second year base card of the guy. Like, it doesn't make too much sense to me, but I think this is a better buy. Also, obviously off center Monday Chroma has a ton of centering issues, so maybe that's why people would say, oh, it went low, but in my opinion, much better buy compared to the second year Monday Chromo. This was a fun one. A lot of 20 Manchester United golds out of 99. This is from SP Authentic. This says 2004. It's actually 2003, 2004. So it's second year Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not in this one, so you're not getting an out in 99 second year Ronaldo in this. But it is really cool set, just generally speaking. You get a bunch of great players. You get Neville, not really that great. Ruud van Nistelrooy. You get Rio, Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs. And then you got these fun ones. I really like the Bobby Charltons. This is Bobby Charlton with the cup out of 99. Paul Scholes over here. You got Ole, and then also this Bobby Charlton. I like that one too. Sort of doing some keep ups. And yeah, just a really fun set right there. You know, not something you see a ton of, so just looking through that was a ton of fun for me. Going for 630. I don't know what that piece is apart for, but it doesn't seem like it's too crazy at all. Above that, one of the best looking Pele's, at least in my opinion, where you got like Pele coming out of the Brazil Earth with a nice flag coming up too, and the border colors are just great. 1974, so definitely a later one, but SGC4 also going to help it. This felt like a pretty strong price. I mean, you don't see many of these authentic altered Ronaldos. I was wondering what's wrong with it because it looked really good, and I figured that probably played a role, but as you can tell, it's very easy to see what is wrong with it. So I'll put some glue on it. Who knows? I am not too certain with that, but this week we have another listing of Sapphire Erling Haalands. I don't know if someone's dumping a bunch of PSA 10s, but like each of the last few weeks we've had 4 of them, and there are more up here. This Ronaldinho felt very strong. I mean, it's a nice looking Ronaldinho, don't get me wrong, and it's Messi rookie year. It says Pop 101. It looks great. I'm not gonna lie, it looks great. But at the same time, a Messi goes for 5K, and that's Messi, and that's his rookie, right? So should another person in the set go for 700? I don't know. Especially when I looked at the Messi Pop, and the Messi Pop's around 40 to 50, right? And so if you thought to yourself, well, if Ronaldinho is Pop 40 or 50, would people want it that bad? I don't think so. So just something to think about. Next to that, we have numbered out of 325. These are all red of the same set. Really, really cool. A Ronaldo auto. I thought this was relatively cheap, at least compared to what I used to know Ronaldo and Messi sticker autos to go for. It felt like they always went for like thousands. So 750 feels like kind of cheap, especially I like the black gold set. Again, I'm always going to be partial towards Pulisic rookie year stuff. So I like the set. And I see a lot of Leaf stuff go for around the same price, and I don't think it's in the same caliber, so just something to think about. Up here, cool out of 10 Immaculate Messi going for 810. Then we have the Campio and a 9 going for 840, around the same price that usually goes for. It seemed to have been around 900,000, but that's a bit cheaper. The white one, the least preferred of all the Messi, so it makes sense why it would go there. Then we start getting to over 1,000, which I will say there's not many over 1,000 selling this week. And I don't think that's a circumstance of, you know, cards dropping so much that they're not going to sell that high. I just think that's a circumstance of not many great cards being in this PWCC Weekly. I will say I didn't buy anything again. I have yet to even show you guys a purchase on PWCC, which feels tough on my end. I want to get there. Hopefully next week I can. There's sort of a grail that I'm eyeing. I actually thought it was in this week's auction. I thought it was going silly cheap, so I was so excited, but then I found out it's next week, so we'll see. But here in this row, we have some great ones. This Pele 1963 Calcio looks amazing. I mean, the colors are vibrant. PSA 4 eye appeal sticker going for it. Goes for 1,000. Doesn't seem to be crazy for me. Early Pele stuff does really well, especially something with this sort of lore and eye appeal and all that jazz going for it. Really beautiful, I will say. Next to that, we have Ronaldo PSA 4 going for 1,400. I mean, to be fair, that's probably a good price. We actually do have some sales history on that, so I'll go look at it now. Here's the Messi Monday Chromo, by the way, basically sort of staying about stagnant with where it's been. But this PSA for Ronaldo actually down a good bit over the last 6 months. 6 months ago, 3,300, now 1,380. So, you know, Ronaldo's taken a pretty big hit, I would say. This is a pretty high sale. I guess if we go back to 2 years, you know, we can go even higher. But yeah, I guess it's actually about where it was 2 years ago. So to be fair, this looks like sort of a super high sale compared to where we are now. But some good info there. And personally, I just think that this sold, maybe the authentic altered sold a bit high, or maybe this sold a bit low. I don't know how you phrase it, but in terms of just grading scale alone, you can talk about eye appeal. I know everyone loves to talk about eye appeal now. It's sort of like the hot topic. In my opinion, eye appeal is kind of stupid because at the end of the day, it just comes down to centering for most people. Like if something's centered, they're like, wow, that is immaculate eye appeal. I don't think that's the case. Then we have Ronaldo. This is the hand-cut Mundi Deportivo going for 1,620. Kind of cheap. I mean, we've been looking at PSA 5s go for about 1,000, and you would assume a 6 should then go for about 2. Especially when the 8 went for 10. recently. It might have been even over 10, like 11 or 12. But yeah, 6 going kind of cheap. Ronaldo does have a lot of options in terms of rookies and what you want to hunt, so that plays a factor. Then we have a 2015 Messi Flawless Sapphire out of 10. Really cool looking card, $2,100, definitely a high price for a modern card, but in terms of, high-end sets and modern, this is a really good looking one, and you got the Argentine narrative going around it now, so that's gonna, play a role too. Then in this row, nothing I'm too crazy about. The Aquarella, I actually am gonna lay off of the Pele lesser rookies, right? I've always sort of said I'm not sure, personally, I'm not buying it. Obviously, I haven't been scooping them up. But at the same time, when I did the pop report video recently, it sort of showed me that, those lesser Pelés, it's baked in that they're lesser Pelés. The Alifa's market cap was 13.5 million, and I think this one was like 500K or something. And I know there's going to be more and all this, but, at the end of the day, if you want to buy it, if you're having fun, I think they're great looking cards. I guess sticker, but you get what I'm saying. Lionel Messi auto. I don't know with these autos. I'm not too certain. I've never owned one of these, but to me, it just sort of seems like a sticker auto, but a more classy sticker auto in the sense that he signed something under this card that then gets a card put over top of it. And so then it doesn't look as much like a, sort of sticker or cut auto, but to me, that's what it would appear to be. But people do like it. Really cool looking. Next to that, we have a Ronaldo Gold PSA 9 going for $2,300. Felt like a pretty strong price. In a PSA 9, given that. Whenever I first saw it, I figured it was a PSA 10. So to think that it's a 9, and the 10 probably goes for 10,000 range. That's pretty high for what is, not really all that of a relevant card for Ronaldo. I know it's select. I know it's gold. Select's going to weigh it down. Gold's going to really be what's carrying it and what I'd presume carried it here. But still a good price for that, I would say. Not as good as, when the gold craze was going on, but still not bad. Then you got a Ronaldo on card auto. People love the impeccable set. Up here, a bit more of the classics of the soccer collecting realm. You have a 2004 Messi 71 bis. Looked that up, and down a little bit, but also up a little bit comparatively over the last 6 months. So it really depends where you're looking at. Overall, pretty healthy, it would seem, but definitely on the decline the last couple sales. Then you have the Bergman Beckenbauer 7.5. I was wondering if this was fake. There's sort of, something on the back you can look for. And didn't look fake to me, so, probably a pretty low price, maybe given the circumstance with how many sort of sketchy ones people have been talking about lately. I'm sure that doesn't help it at all. But in terms of past sales, I compared it to PSA 7 because that's what felt comparable to me. In September of 2022, PSA 7 went for 18,000. 1 month later, it went for 7,500. And as you can tell, 5-6 months later, we are now at 4,300. So, higher grades of this have been coming out, so that's going to play a factor. On top of that, sort of the market in general and people being a little suspect of different graders, it's just not helping it at all. But if you're someone looking to enter, I think that that's an amazing card to be able to get in a high grade for not a crazy price compared to what you were seeing before. Then you have the Pele Titulares 2.5. I do not know which one this is in terms of how rare it is. I know there's different variations on the Titulares that sort of signify basically a differentiator of some sort, and you can try to collect the lot of them, but it is missing a corner. If it's missing a corner and has a 2.5, we can kind of tell by the eye appeal. Looks pretty good. Makes sense that it's getting 6,000 in total. Really nice looking Pele, one of my favorites. Then we have the Zidane Panini Foot 91-92, and looking back on that, basically this is actually up from the last sale. Last sale was 6,900. The sale before that was 7,800. So over the last 3 to 4 months, pretty stable. Before that, though, not as stable. 7,000, 14,000, 22,000. So this has come down a good bit. Close to, you cannot see it at the bottom, but the sale in November 23rd of 2020 was 9,000. So we're about back there. Now going into the top 4, this is going to be sort of what I was talking about earlier in the sense that PWCC leans heavily towards like ultra modern. You got the 1/1 Kylian Mbappe prize footballers, PSA 9 going for 10.2 thousand, which I don't know. To me, like, yeah, it's a 1/1, but man, there's so many 1/1s that to say that this is better than all these, like, I know it's a 1/1, I know, but do people even care about this card? Like the regular card, do people care? I don't even think it's a card people would notice, right? But man, that's just crazy. So 1/1 Kylian Mbappe going for 10,000. People love 1/1s, they love the low numbers. Next to that, Eminence Cristiano Ronaldo 101. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, again, like that Kylian Mbappe just seems so high. I know it's Kylian Mbappe, but Ronaldo, people like Ronaldo. I don't know. That's crazy to me. I know that within Eminence you have different 101s, and so it's not truly the only one in this, but the same thing goes for, you know, Mbappe. He has other ones at Finest. Like, then we have the Lionel Messi Mosaic, FIFA Road to the World Cup, 1 of 1, black mosaic. You know, again, feels like a much cooler card than the Mbappe. I don't want to keep railing on this Mbappe thing, but when there's only so many things like this, well, I guess there's not so many things like this made, because as you can tell, there's a lot of them here at the top of the auction. But when they're all so unique like this, you kind of just have to compare from one to another, because there are no comparisons to be made in terms of comp. So Lionel Messi 101 from the World Cup, 13,000. I mean, it goes to show you what people think of Mosaic compared to the other brands that are out there, because the sticker went wild and the prism went wild, and so, I mean, definitely a huge haircut off that. But that's sort of the thing. I mean, with Messi in this World Cup, there's going to be a ton of products. So there is a ton of competition if you don't have the best of the best. And then finally, we top it all off with the $16.2 thousand 2019 Erling Haaland Red Topps Chrome UCL. Very high price, but actually, I mean, if you compare it to like some of what the Finest would go for, or even the Topps Chrome Bundesliga would go for, I feel like it would do a much higher price. Now, maybe in this market, it's not the same, but it would seem that way to me. So to compare with the high-end Erling Haaland market, I went on Card Ladder, looked at the top sales all time, and we can sort of tell. So the 1 of 1 in the same set, Topps Chrome, went for $181,000, and now the 1 of 10 is going for $16.2. It is a PSA 9 to be fair, also. So you know, a 10 you would think would be $30,000, $45,000. The reds from the Bundesliga Chrome have gone anywhere from $150,000, $140,000, $140,000, $120,000 with an auto. Get some oranges down here, and so you can kind of tell, I mean, that is a lower price. This sold in October 21st of 2022. BGS 10 Pristine, actually, for $38.4. So, I mean, compared to that, this seems like a pretty good sale, I would say. Overall, a really fun auction. I feel like really top-heavy. I mean, there were some elite cards on it, and then there were a lot of low to mid-end cards, I would say, or I guess more mid-end cards. But there wasn't a lot between the mid and high-end, so there wasn't a lot of pickings there, but it was a lot of fun to go through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. We'd love to hear what you thought of some of these cards, or maybe some of your purchases as well. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.